now that I think about it. Good. What's going on, guys? Good. Obviously a tough divisional game this week that we're really looking forward to. Got a great defense. I feel like they're doing a really good job. I think they're up there, if not number one, in forcing turnovers. That's always tough whenever you're on against a defense like that can punch the ball out, take it away defensively. And so for them, I think just rush and coverage kind of working together. They got a great front, tied with really good backers and really good DBs that make it all come to life. So we're really looking forward to the opportunity.
How easy or hard is it to speed up your mechanics or delivery when you've got guys that are not just taking the ball away, they've got a lot of quarterback hits and pressures too?
Yeah, I think that's the name of the game, right? If you can get home rushing 4 or 5 guys every single time, you love that as a defensive coordinator especially. So, we got to be on our P's and Q's, but also, they like to mix it up. They like to bring certain pressures, so we just got to be ready for it.
How does the defense they're playing this year compare to what you guys saw, what you saw with them last year?
Yeah, they're doing some similar things, but obviously, like every offense, like every defense, like every team in the NFL, they're evolving, with the personnel that they have and all the different things that they can do defensively. So, they've shown a lot of different things this year, and we're excited about, going up against these guys.
What are you seeing from Quentin Lake, 37, and how they use him?
Yeah, I feel like, he's kind of the one back there that, is kind of directing people where to go, and just kind of running the show back there, and for a good reason. He seems like a smart football player, and again, it's, he's obviously, really good, and not only him, but, some of the other, DBs that work along with him and the linebackers for that matter, in just disguising a lot of their coverages and a lot of their pressures. So it definitely makes it tough to go against, but exciting, like I said, about just the opportunity that we have.
Do you go back and look at those 2 games from last year against them much at all, or is it obviously that was a different team you were playing with?
I mean, we look at everything. We're looking at all the games that they've played this year. Games that I played last year. We look at everything just to kind of see what we could potentially get on Sunday.
Your defense is playing the way that it is.
Mm-hmm.
How does that change the formula, change the entire feel of the game for you on offense?
Yeah, I think I said this after the game, but just playing with a defense like that, can give you a lot of comfort as a quarterback. Obviously, I'm still going to continue to push myself, push the guys on offense to continue to be better. I think we got to continue to protect the football. I think that was a huge emphasis coming out of that game that we had last week. But again, with our defense playing the way that they are right now, they're playing well, and again, we just got to continue to do what we do on offense.
We're going to ask you, is this Rams game personal for you? How personal this is?
No, I think for us it's just about going down there. For myself personally, it's about going down there and taking care of business. It's as simple as that.
What did you take away from that playoff game, you for yourself in quarterbacking?
Yeah, I think just having answers. I think that's the biggest thing is. And I feel like I had opportunities to get the ball out, and I didn't in that game. And, I just feel like having answers for certain looks and being able to just go through my progressions, go through my reads, and trust my feet and my eyes.
You talked about protecting the ball, and this feels like a game that could definitely come down to the end. You guys have had some turnovers at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
How do you change that if that's what happens this week as you get down to a close game?
Yeah, I think it's just what I said. I think it's being very deliberate with kind of my progressions, going through my reads, understanding when the pocket's a little bit messy and when I need to maybe check the ball down or even just throw it away. So I think that's going to be a huge point of emphasis this week, but. Again, I like to play every single play as its own and kind of go from there.
You've only been sacked 10 times in 9 games. What do you make of that fact?
Yeah, I think, first of all, it's a good, our offensive line is playing incredible. Tight ends, running backs, all those that are, in protection, they're doing a great job. And then our receivers being able to get open. And then for me, it's just being able to get the ball out and going through my reads.
The guys have talked about the outside noise. It's kind of, about this game, and that will start to come around you guys more if you guys keep winning. How do you sort of, eliminate that or not get that seep into you guys?
Yeah, I think, it's just understanding who we are, who I am as a person, understanding the guys in the locker room, the coaching staff. We're all working so hard every single week. We enjoy when we do get a win, we enjoy it on Monday. But, it's on to the next, Monday night, really, Tuesday. And we're focused on next week.
You talked about a while ago leadership style that you kind of admire is the quiet, like offensive line kind of. Was that always the way that you kind of led, or is there a time that you tried different kind of leadership styles and just settled on this one?
No, I think for me it's always, if I need to speak up or say something that the offensive guys need to hear, or a certain position group or a certain person needs to hear, like I'm going to speak up, and I feel great about doing that. But first and foremost, it's about doing my job, and if I'm not doing my job and I'm getting on people, like that doesn't make sense to me, and it never has. And so I always make sure that I'm trying to, and it may come off as leading by example, but it's really just doing your job. And I feel like, all those guys in that locker room are leaders, because everyone in there tries to do their job and they do it at a high level, and that's just it.
What does 12 attempts in a game say about your running game and the fluidity of your offense?
Yeah, it's awesome, to be able to run the ball the way that we did. I think without, the knees at the end and at the end of the first half, I think we're over 200 yards. So, those guys are continuing to come together, like I always say, as an offensive line and, as a running back group, tight end group, receiver group, even blocking their tails off. Robbie Ouzts doing his thing as a fullback, Brady. So it's good, man. The whole group's really coming together, and we're just going to continue to build off that week after week.
Changing centers can be disruptive for an offense, but with Olu, can you tell, like, this is a guy that started a bunch of games,
Yeah.
and also you got the reps with him in camp when there's competition. Do you notice that as well?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think Olu does a really good job. He did a really good job when he got in there last week. So I know that he's going to continue to prepare his butt off and do everything that he can to help this team win.
You guys seem to keep it light, keep it steady week in, even as things build. Who's the person that thinks they're the funniest in the locker room, and who's actually the funniest?
Who thinks that they're, because that is a big difference. I think Eric Saubert might be the funniest guy, but that's just, again, that's everybody has a different taste. But Sabi's pretty funny. Coop, I would say, thinks he's the funniest, and I'm gonna have to go with that because he's tried to drill me on a couple things, couple one-liners, and I just thought this was a good time to maybe air that out, and we'll see what he says about that.
Speaking of Coop, obviously going back to LA, and just for you having spent half a season around him now, what's he meant to the offense, this team as a whole?
Yeah, man, he's incredible. I feel like I talk about it a lot, but just the work that he puts in, it's unlike anyone else that I've ever met. He's been a huge fit for us, as an offense. Just the way that he works and just the things he can do on the field as well. He's also been a huge catalyst for kind of bringing these guys together, bringing the team together too. So, he's been very. I don't know if this is probably the understatement of the year, but he's a very important piece to what we're building here. Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.